what's up guys, welcome to another banger on the biggest and best forex scam exposing channel in South Africa, coming to you live from my aunt's back room. We are here with a video about CASHFLOW NGCOBO, and I bet this is gonna get really interesting. We haven't heard anything of him in the media as of late, but this video is titled How Durban's Biggest Scammer Almost Met His End. Dramatic, no? Let's get into
live. Now, Rydall Nkele is one of South Africa's most celebrated forex traders who has made millions of dollars in forex over the years.
When we started our company CASHFLOW, remember at that time we had no resources or recourses just like any other entrepreneurs, you know. But it was that belief that CASHFLOW will be a brand one day, you understand? So now we started the business training people on how to trade on their own.
Jabulani Nk'Kobo, aka Mr. CASHFLOW, was South Africa's self-proclaimed forex trading king, a man who seemed to have unlocked the secrets of unlimited wealth. He wasn't just rich, he flaunted it. Designer clothes, expensive cars, and fancy parties. A lot of people followed him because they wanted to know how he made money and be like him. He promised financial freedom, but behind the flashy image was a lie. Nk'Kobo didn't just sell a dream, he sold lies. His empire wasn't built on trading success, but on other people's money. Clients invested their savings, expecting fortunes. Instead, their money disappeared. Whispers of fraud turned into investigations. Victims spoke out. The police took notice. For years, he wasn't held responsible for any crime because his wealth shielded him from justice. But no scam lasts forever. In 2019, he faced fraud.
No scam lasts forever. Pay attention to that.
Allegations, and after a guilty verdict and prison sentence, his world came crashing down. The man who once boasted of endless riches was now set to be locked up behind bars with his empire in ruins. Jabulani Nk'Kobo wasn't born into wealth. He was from Claremont, a settlement in Durban where fights were common. He was born in 1985 and grew up in a small house. Like most teenage boys in his neighborhood, he attended Langa High School. One thing set him apart, which was his habit of always trying to do better. Even when he was a child, he dreamed of running away from everything. He didn't just want money, he wanted power, influence, and a name that everyone would remember. After school, he landed a job at Toyota, but factory work wasn't the future he dreamed of. Less than 8 months in, he walked away, convinced he was meant for something bigger. Entrepreneurship was the answer. In 2006, he started a debt collection business, his first real step into the world of money. It wasn't all beautiful, but it gave him a taste of control. He wanted more. That's when he discovered forex trading. By 2009, he launched CASHFLOW Properties, later rebranded as CASHFLOW Pro. But he didn't just become a trader, he became a phenomenon. Social media was his stage. He flaunted designer suits, luxury cars, and private parties dripping in wealth. Porsche, BMW M4, BMW X6. Every post was a statement. He wasn't just making money, he was...
Don't forget the Maserati Ghibli, my bro. I think that was the most impressive car that he had. I still remember at that time I was still fuck, my bro. He went to go fetch that car at the dealership. Yo, I ran so fast out of my room. Told my grandma, you know, this is gonna be me one day. This is gonna be me one day. Kanye didn't want to be a scammer.
He was living the dream. People noticed. Thousands followed him, desperate to unlock his secrets. His book, CASHFLOW Naked, released in 2018, cemented his image. He wasn't just a forex trader, he was a movement, a mentor, a self-made millionaire. He built a cult-like following. Young men idolized him. Aspiring traders worshipped him. He promised to teach them the way, to transform their lives just like he had. Jabulani Nk'Kobo made sure everyone knew he was wealthy. His name became synonymous with luxury, power, and success. He didn't just drive expensive cars.
That apartment though, we can't call that luxury, my bro. It's like basic.
Bo made sure everyone knew he was wealthy. His name became synonymous with luxury,
this apartment,
power, and success. He didn't just drive expensive cars. He secured front row seats at exclusive events, rubbing shoulders with celebrities and influencers. Everything about him screamed wealth, and that was the secret to his success. He made people believe. His company, CASHFLOW Pro, promised life-changing returns. Join me, and you'll be rich too. Thousands bought into his vision. They paid for mentorship programs, training courses, investment opportunities, all under the promise of huge profits.
And this is why I believe the FSCA will broaden their scope, because a lot of people are now realizing that they can't give signals, can't do account management, they can't do pool account funding, they can't take investments anymore without being regulated. So they are going to move their attention to mentorship, right? And the mentorship scam is something that has been going on for the longest of time. But I feel like the FSCA will broaden their scope to include or start including mentorship, because that is like the last reserve for scammers to run to.
NGCOBO turned into a cult figure who motivated poor young South Africans to get out of poverty. But there was a problem going on beneath the fancy clothes, the motivational speeches, and the expensive suits. The money wasn't coming from trading. His flashy lifestyle, it wasn't funded by profits, it was funded by new investors. Money flowed in, but instead of being used for real investments, it disappeared into his pockets. At first, it was easy to hide. As long as new people kept signing up, there was always money to show off. But the bigger he grew, the harder it became to maintain the illusion. People started asking questions. Where were their promised returns? Why did withdrawals take so long? Why did only a few seem to be making money while others lost everything? Suspicion turned into complaints. Complaints turned into investigations. NGCOBO had built a house of cards, and it was beginning to collapse. But instead of stopping, he doubled down. More social media posts, more flashy purchases, more promises. He thought he could outrun the truth. He couldn't. Jabulani NGCOBO built his fortune on trust, but that trust was nothing more than an illusion. CASHFLOW Pro appeared to be a legitimate forex trading company, promising clients financial freedom. However, beneath the surface, it operated without proper registration or oversight. NGCOBO was not licensed to handle investments, making every transaction a violation of financial regulations. Yet, he continued, knowing full well that the money flowing in was based on deception.
You see that point that was mentioned there? This is a point that I've reiterated for the longest of time. If you're going to do investments with someone that is not FSCA regulated, your money will be deemed as illicit proceeds. Not only your money, but everyone that signed up with that specific company, they now have to prove that they didn't know that this was a scam. And that is one of the biggest hurdles that us as South Africans need to get over. If something isn't regulated, it doesn't deserve our time, money, or attention.
To expand his reach, NGCOBO partnered with Msa Welcome Dlamini, a man with a similar hunger for wealth. Together, they refined their strategy, convincing more people to invest in what they claimed was a foolproof system. The promise was simple: hand over your money, and in return, you would receive life-changing profits. There were no risks, no complications, just guaranteed success. But what investors didn't know was that their money was never being traded at all. One of the first cracks in NGCOBO's empire came when an Angolan businessman, Francis Boole, fell victim to the scheme. He had heard of NGCOBO's success and believed.
If you guys do your research on this channel, you would see that there's a thumbnail with CASHFLOW's face on. I think it reads, "Stay away from these investments." We speak about this Francis Boole issue, but yeah, it's really good to see that it is getting the recognition that it deserves, because obviously my video didn't reach that far, right? But this video obviously reached a whole lot of people.
Believed he had found a way to multiply his wealth. With confidence in the so-called forex guru, Boole handed over 100,000 rand to gain access to an exclusive trading account. Days passed and no returns were made, no updates were given, and NGCOBO became impossible to reach. When Boole attempted to withdraw his money, he realized the truth. It was gone. Boole's frustration turned into action as he filed a fraud case at the Sandton police station. He was not the only one beginning to question what had really been happening behind closed doors. More victims started coming forward, each with a similar story of empty promises and devastating losses. The illusion of wealth NGCOBO had created was beginning to crumble under the weight of its own lies. But instead of admitting guilt, he simply found ways to
I want you guys to pay attention then, eh? Nothing happened up until people started reporting him to the police. So if you are a victim of some fraudulent crime, the best thing for you to do is to rally people for your cause on social media, find other victims, and then go and lay that complaint at the police office. Then obviously take all of that to the FSCA so that a public warning can be released to the public. But when you get to the police station and you have everything in order, that will set that police case in motion. And remember, it's a cyber fraud case. If you guys haven't dealt face to face, handed over the money face to face, or anything like that, it's a cyber fraud case. Remember that.
Distance himself from the accusations. Mkhulisi Ngubane, another victim, had invested his savings into CASHFLOW Pro with the hope of securing his future. When he saw no profits and began asking questions, NGCOBO brushed him off. Instead of addressing concerns, he referred him to another supposed trading company, which turned out to be another scam. Ngubane was left with nothing, just like the many others who had trusted in NGCOBO's financial empire. The cycle kept going, with each investor supporting NGCOBO's showy way of life without realizing it. A taxi owner named Theko Nkulunga lost 520,000 rand because he believed NGCOBO's promise of financial freedom. He worked non-stop to save that money because he thought it would help him in the future. But his money was gone for good once NGCOBO got it.
Chill. That's a quantum's money cash, my bro. Or at least majority of the money needed for another quantum. I can only imagine how that person must feel, my bro. Okay.
He kept trying to reach the so-called Mr. Cashflow, but to no avail. His dream of getting rich had turned into a nightmare. As more victims spoke out, it became clear that NGCOBO's empire was built on lies. Clients were not making any money, and when they asked why, they were either told not to ask again or were threatened. According to NGCOBO, they lost because they didn't follow his instructions correctly. Without a doubt, though, he had taken their money and left them with...
Now guys, isn't it funny? He's saying that the things didn't work out for the clients because they didn't follow his instructions. But wasn't he the one working with the money? Wasn't he the one making the investments? Wasn't he the one making the trades? God, the audacity some people have.
With nothing. And with each new insight, it became clear that he could not survive. The cracks in Jabulani NGCOBO's empire started to show a long time before it fell apart. In 2011, the South African Reserve Bank became aware of CASHFLOW properties and thought it might be a pyramid scheme. Behind the scenes, there wasn't much forex trading going on, but clients were pouring money in with the hope of making huge profits that would change their lives. Since his financial records did not add up, the police started to follow large amounts of money moving through his accounts. Still, NGCOBO kept showing off his wealth, getting bolder every year, even though people were getting more worried. By 2012, it was impossible to ignore the way he spent money, and both the public and the police were looking into it. In 2012, when he turned 26, he threw a show worth 1 million rand for his birthday that went viral all over South Africa. Celebrities, politicians, and socialites got together in a fancy place, surrounded by expensive cars and other obvious signs of wealth. Rich champagne was served all night, and guests were spoiled with designer gifts, which added to NGCOBO's...
Guys, when it comes to that champagne talk, my bro, these people, they weren't drinking these brands that we might drink. Your Blush, your JC La Rose, your Crown. No, these men, they drink expensive alcohols, my bro, expensive champagnes, your Wolf Clicos, your GH Mums. My bro, I'm telling you, I can only imagine how extravagant that drinks bill must have been. I don't even want to factor in food, my bro, because we know forex traders, or forex scammers rather, they buy stuff just to show off. So that food bill was just another extravagant expense.
...his image as a self-made millionaire. But investors were getting worried. Where were their expected returns? Meanwhile, the partygoers were having a good time. As complaints grew, so did calls for a formal investigation. This was NGCOBO's first major encounter with the law. He was arrested in 2013 on charges of fraud, theft, and money laundering. The news sent shockwaves through the business world, and many of his supporters started to wonder if he really was the financial genius he said he was. A lot of news stories were written about the case, and victims came forward to demand justice and get their money back. Even though the court case moved slowly, NGCOBO seemed sure that he would get away with the serious charges against him. After several years, NGCOBO was found not guilty of any charges in 2017. This was a big surprise that made him feel even better about himself. When he got out of court feeling good, he used the chance to say that he was the target of jealousy and false accusations. His innocence became part of his reputation as proof that he was...
That's what they always do. They operate in an unregulated fashion. They scam people, and then somehow, because of their money cost check, they're able to afford gevaarlijke lawyers, my bro, especially this man. They come off scot-free, and then they turn that whole narrative around to be like, do you see, I was the one that was being followed here unnecessarily. I was the one that was being investigated unnecessarily. I was the one that was being persecuted unnecessarily. Can't we know the real issue behind the closed doors?
Was just an ordinary businessman who was misunderstood, not a con artist. He didn't wait long before going back to social...
There's that Maserati, my bro. Oh my goodness. The first time I saw Maserati was watching the Underworld series, one of those movies. I'm telling you, I'm gonna own a Maserati before I pass away.
Social media to brag about his lavish lifestyle and promote the idea of being financially free. Behind the scenes, though, the police weren't done with him yet. The Financial Sector Conduct Authority, FSCA, was quietly watching what he did while he enjoyed his freedom. Between 2014 and 2019, they built a strong case that CASHFLOW Pro was trading illegally without the right licenses.
Do you guys see that? From 2014 to 2019, who could have guessed that in those 5 years, they were busy investigating him because, check, they gave him the scot-free, the get-out-of-jail-free card, right? And he took it. And then they started investigating him from 2014 till 2019 again. And he didn't know about it. No one knew about it. And that is why I'm telling you guys, regardless of if you see progress or not, don't think the FSCA is not working behind the scenes. So, I'm telling y'all, report your issues. Report your issues, guys.
NGCOBO had been lying to investors by saying he had professional qualifications that he didn't actually have. The Financial Advisory and Intermediary Services, FAS Act,
Nah, that's fraudulent misrepresentation.
Section 7(1), made clear he had been breaking the law for years. More victims came forward and complaints grew stack. The police knew they at last had enough proof to bring him down for good. Following a court decision in 2019, NGCOBO got a 6-year suspended prison sentence. On May 7th, he was fined 200,000 Rand. The FSCA described this as a major victory in the fight against financial fraud. Years ago, NGCOBO sold people on a dream that he knew how to make them successful. But now, he was just another fraudster who was seeing his empire fall apart. His name was once linked to wealth and success, but now it was seen as a warning about greed and lying. In a bid to escape serving a jail term, he filed an appeal right away, seeing it as his last chance to have his conviction thrown out. On May 13, 2019, he was released on bail, allowing him to return to the streets. Things were still bad for him. His reputation was ruined, and even his most loyal fans had turned against him. Once his territory, social media turned into a battleground where his lies and dishonesty were exposed by people who used to be his allies. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yeah, that is how it goes, guys. I've been telling you all that behind the scenes, investigations are going on. Behind the scenes, people are busy being checked out and scrutinized. Because let's be real, when that Money Teddy FSCA public warning was released, there were many of you that were shocked. Even I was shocked because Money Teddy was one of the few people, or one of the last people, that we expected to have an FSCA warning to begin with. Because let's be real, there's bigger fish to fry. But now here's the thing. The people that have been scammed by the bigger fish, your Ref Waynes, your Louis Junior Chakwanis, your Santile Shesis, right? they haven't gone through the effort to go and report their cases. Meanwhile, with Money Teddy, the FSCA clearly acknowledges that there's a few people that have come forward to complain about him. So, guys, do yourself a favor. Once you have been scammed, take all of your screenshots, take all of your evidence, go and open a case. Even though it takes long, you will get the satisfaction of seeing your hard work pay off. Because let's be real, a YouTube video, it will trend every now and again, but it will never ever give you the satisfaction or the peace knowing that justice was served. If you come this far, thank you so much for watching. I sincerely appreciate you. But now I need a favor from you as well. Recently, this YouTube channel has been shadow banned, and the reason for that is that a whole lot of scammers have band together with their followings to report this account. So YouTube aren't spreading the videos as it should. This is where you come in. Please do me the favor and share these videos to your social media platform, because that helps spread the awareness, and the more people know, the less people will fall victim to these scams. Thank you so much for your support. I sincerely appreciate it. I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.